This is the Propaganda Report. I am Brad Binkley. You know, I thought I'd play a little Led Zeppelin to start off the show, knowing full well we're going to go ahead and get demonetized, maybe kicked off in most countries, maybe even a strike on my YouTube account. But I get that every time anyway, so there's no reason not to play anything that I want. That's the benefit of always getting your videos taken down and demonetized and striked immediately. Who cares? Nevertheless, I don't know why. I like Led Zeppelin, and they felt right for the moment right now for me. But we've got a show tonight. We've got a good show tonight, a quick show tonight. I say that. Probably won't be. Trump fires, or does he fire sex doll, head of the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, and proof Bill Clinton lied, which I promised you guys last show during his testimony last week. I want to go ahead and I want to start by welcoming the new listeners here who came from Already Dead with Jose and Austin, the show I did earlier this week. I was a guest on their show. They do a great show. They're both awesome. And it was a good time. It was really a fantastic show. And I had a lot of fun, not just talking to those guys, but also they bring callers on to talk with us as well. And I had a really good time getting to pick the brains of some of those guys. A lot of really smart people. And I appreciate the love you guys have been throwing me on social media and the messages you've sent me. So super cool. Welcome to the Propaganda Report. I am Brad Binkley. And also, I was told in the chats, I've tried to find it before the show, but I haven't been able to find it yet. I was told that William Ramsey of William Ramsey Investigates also gave me a shout out for some of the Epstein research that I've done, or something related to that anyway. And that's like one of the greatest compliments I could get, to have someone who's such a good researcher recognize some of the stuff that I've done. It's good to be seen. You know, we all just want to be seen and heard and acknowledged in what we're doing. And to be acknowledged by some of the greatest feels good. Just like when Sam, who's the man, Sam Tripoli, gave me a shout out, and Austin a shout out on, what's the show he was on? It's a popular show. Danny Jones. Sam was on Danny Jones talking about Epstein and other things. He name dropped me in Austin, and just what a great guy he is. So we appreciate that, and any of the listeners who have come this way based on that. So thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you don't enjoy it, then maybe we won't see you again, but hopefully we'll see you again. Nevertheless, let's go ahead and let's start with this main topic of the day. Let's dive in to the subject dominating the news momentarily, which is not the war in Iran, actually. That story has been dethroned, at least temporarily, by what we're being told by the media is actually more important for us to think about right now. And that is the war at home, perhaps. The war within the Trump administration, the way they're portraying it anyway, which is the alleged firing. I say that in air quotes. What was I doing there? Was that my air quotes? It looks like I'm fingering a ghost. What is that? It's a weird way to do air quotes. I'll work on them, okay? So I hope a ghost wasn't there. I didn't mean to violate you. Nevertheless, was this a firing? Is this as dramatic as they're trying to make it be and they want us to perceive it as? Is it just like, is it the start of what they say Trump did during his first administration? He fired these people, and then they went and wrote tell-all books about, they leaked secrets, like an ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, pissed off. That's kind of what they're trying to portray it as. That's actually not at all what it was. Completely different. Let's go into it. What's up, guys? Good to see you guys in the chats. Nothing's wrong with Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin. What are you saying? What do you mean what's wrong with Led Zeppelin? Nobody said. I literally play Led Zeppelin. It's any copyright music I'm not allowed to play. I'm not allowed to play anything that's not even like a second of. I can actually play things that I do own the rights to, and they will still take my videos down. That's my point. My point is, it doesn't matter if I do everything legally and by the rules. They still demonetize me. They still take my videos down, and they still sometimes give me a strike on my account. All the time. They've been doing it for years. Candace Owens can play all of Led Zeppelin's album and she'd be fine and monetized. But that's a whole subject for another time. Okay, I got to change this. This is like a weird format I'm looking at here. All right, so does anybody care that Kristi Noem was changed positions? It's just it's one of those stories where, yeah, it's news, but what? Who cares? And yet they're trying to tell us to care about it. And the reports, as I mentioned, are that she was fired. Like literally every single news outlet. Kristi Noem fired. Sex doll Kristi Noem fired. Real doll Kristi Noem dropped. Fired. Even the right-leaning networks. But Trump never said that. Trump, whose catchphrase was literally, you're fired, during The Apprentice, who, during his first administration, very publicly fired members of his administration on social media, saying, you're fired. Never said Kristi Noem was fired. At no point anywhere in his messaging on True Social did he ever say she's fired. And yet the media has taken it and they said he fired her and act like maybe he just didn't use that terminology because he didn't want to use that terminology. He wanted to move her around to make it look like he wasn't fired. He has never cared about that. He has never cared about the backlash from the ex that he fired or whatever. He embraces that conflict. And yet the story is that she's fired because the story has already been pre-written. It needs to be the conflict maximizing story. Look at the internal conflict, the war within. She's fired. And so if that's the premise and that's what we've seen in the news, then why did he fire her? Why was he tired of her? And then you have all these people speculating on the left and right, politicians that get quotes from media saying, well, it must have been because of her handling of Minnesota and what she said about, she just jumped right out and said that this person was a terrorist who got shot by ICE. And as though Trump didn't sign off on some of that language, as though that is not, like Trump literally said similar things. Or it was her congressional testimony where she said definitively that Trump signed off on her ad campaign. I think this is what they were saying. Something or another like this. That she did this ad campaign, like a $20 million ad campaign, telling people to self-deport, and that Trump signed off on it. And there's rumors inside the White House that he didn't sign off on that. He was angry that she said he did, and that's why he fired her. Why would he be angry about that? Like, that's literally his thing. The self-deportation thing is his whole, like, that's his primary feature of his immigration policy, is you do this demonstration with a sex doll with a weapon, oftentimes in ads, like literally pointed at actual real military people's heads because she doesn't know how to, she's like a sex doll with a second job. You know, Kristi Noem, some guy at home, he bought a Kristi Noem real doll, and Trump said, I'm sorry, I know you wanted to have some relations with her, but we need her to be the Secretary of Homeland Security. We'll give her back to you eventually. And the whole idea was do this propaganda campaign to create this bigger illusion of the deportation efforts, because Trump was not actually deporting more people than Biden. Through the first, I would say, like 4 months they had the data. It might be different now, but he did stop people from coming in. And there were a number of people who self-deported. So why would Trump be like, I can't believe she said that I signed off on this thing that works very well? It's the dumbest argument, but it all fits in this narrative that he fired her, which he never actually said or did. And he never has a problem firing people. So the entire basis of this story to me, and this is what I do, I deconstruct news. This is why I think it's interesting. Like the story to me, I roll my eyes at it. I'm like, who cares? But the way that everybody, even on the right, has run with this, as though it's some parallel to his previous administration, which is so completely not. It's like so different. And then then all these other, reasonings, and then you take that, and then that becomes a story and a controversy, and it's all based on a false premise that he fired her because of these rumors, none of which he has ever said himself. A person who never has had a problem explaining why he let someone go or fired them. So, Like, here's what he said. That damn Candace Owens. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I see the fire, actually. I do get it. I do get it. Truth Violates Community Guild. It's a very long screen name. I have my email address is really long, and like I just wish I didn't make it so long now because it's so easy to get wrong. Nevertheless, here's what Trump said on True Social, and this is that they interpreted as him firing them. Firing, not them. Kristi Noem. How can you fire Kristi? You can send Kristi Noem to the Real Doll Factory. You know, have the Real Doll sex doll mechanic, whose name is Brick Dollbanger, by the way. That's a true thing. It's actually a true thing. He's a product tester. Again. And then you work out the cranks, you bring her back. But why is he going to fire her? She's like he hired her to be the like unaware psycho who kills dogs. Like that's your first example, is the book that she wrote where she describes shooting a puppy because the puppy ran off and like killed some chickens. And she said it was just a bad dog and you got to put down bad dogs. I actually don't believe that story. I know some people argue that sometimes that there's a bad dog he's going to attack. But the way the story is written is it's an untrained puppy who the person who owns it, they never even trained it. They were letting it run around off a leash without ever training it. And she said that's a bad dog and she killed it. She did that right at the time when she was trying to put herself out there to be selected as an administrative position, maybe even eventually run for president. And it's like all these politicians do that. They come up with these stories that makes them seem tough. Like they got to make the hard decisions. And so that's what that was. And that's like, I think that's part of why Trump selected her. I think the story's all made up. But she'll kill a dog. She'll deport anybody we want. If she'll shoot a puppy, an untrained puppy, because it didn't just know how to listen, then yeah, that's who you want to put in charge of your deportation process. Because they're not going to be burdened with understanding perspective of others or the nuance of humanity. They're not going to have that burden. And that's why you get that position. That's why you write a book like that. To present yourself as such a psychopath. Because you want that psycho job. So it's this idea that she was doing things he did not want her to do and he didn't sign off on. Just because the media spun some stories in a certain way. And Trump was right in line with all of that. So it's just so weird. It's not weird. It's like, why? So there's definitely, it's incongruent. And when there's an incongruency, why is the incongruency there? That's how I look at it. And here's what Trump said. I have to say, True Social, that's one of the most brilliant things, I think. When you force the media to report your official statements as Trump truthed. I mean, that's... You criticize the guy, I do all the time, but that's a stroke of genius right there. That they can't even talk about statements he says that they want to call lies without describing them as truths. It's funny. All right. He truthed. I am pleased to announce. Hold on, where did I go? I'm pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, Mark Wayne Mullen, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Effective March 31st, 2026, the current Secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well and has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, ! Will be moving to the special envoy for the Shield of Americas. Now, that's a new thing. The Shield of Americas is where we're sending her. After such great work, I mean, that's what it sounds like. She did such great work, and now we're going to move her over to this new thing that nobody's ever heard of yet. I love that he just puts it in there, too. It's like that's like talking past the sale. You talk as though it's reality, and it's normal, and then you explain it later. I mean, it's very good persuasion. She will be moving to the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas. explains our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere. So she's being moved to a security initiative in the Western Hemisphere that they're going to be announcing on Saturday in Doral, Florida. And he thanks Kristi for her service at Homeland. So let's finish reading it. Describing Mark Wayne Mullins, serving 10 years in the U.S. House of Representatives and 3 in the Senate, Mark Wayne has done a tremendous job representing the wonderful people of Oklahoma, where I won 77 of 77 counties in 2016, 2020, and 2024, exclamation point. A MAGA warrior and a former undefeated professional MMA fighter. Mark Wayne truly gets along well with people. No, he doesn't. And knows the wisdom and courage. He puts wisdom and courage and he capitalizes his words. Which that's just funny. It's intentionally done, but it's to get people to hang up on it. He knows wisdom and courage required to advance our America First agenda. Is that actually? Sorry. Now, that makes me curious, actually. Why did he make that a proper noun? Wisdom and courage. I'll look that up later. There might be something more to that. Eagle Center for Leadership. Wisdom. Now, all right, I won't get lost in that for now. But that's interesting. He knows the wisdom and courage required to advance our America First agenda. As the only Native American in the Senate. Oh, he's a Native American. I didn't know that. Who cares? Mark Wayne is a fantastic advocate of our incredible tribal communities. I'm laughing because Mark Wayne Mullins he's one of the only people more retarded than Kristi Noem, and I'll explain in a minute. Mark Wayne will work tirelessly to keep our border secure in all caps, and stop migrant crime. Like it's the title of a book, he's capitalizing this stuff. He'll stop the murderers, also in all caps, and other criminals from illegally entering our country. Very liberal use of the capitalization, but not the whole word, though, for those just listening. He's capitalizing the first letter like it's a news headline, actually, is the way he's doing it. In the scourge of illegal drugs, and all caps for all letters, make America safe again. Mark Wayne will make a spectacular Secretary of Homeland Security. And then his patented, thank you for your attention to this matter, which I would encourage all of you, when you're in a group chat, doing like our friend Josh, who plays Trump, does, always saying thank you for your attention to this matter, regardless. Because it's just a funny way to end. It's just ridiculous and funny. Okay, there she is. There's the sex doll herself. We will not back down from forcing who gives a shit. Okay. Sorry. All right. So that's his official statement. And he never said firing. And these reports, like from NPR and everywhere, and like literally everywhere, they describe it specifically as firing. Like NPR, though, they even said that Trump very boldly and publicly would announce the firings as firings on social media, on Truth, previously. But in the same paragraph, they would describe what happened as a firing or as a demotion, firing/demotion. And then, because that's the framing, they have to provide the explanation for why he just demoted her instead of just outright firing her. So he fired her, but he didn't want the same thing to happen that happened when he fired all these people previously. Like, he very openly fired them, and they went out and made a bunch of money doing bogus, like Omarosa, doing book tours. Everybody, look up a list of all former Trump staffers, and they all have these books, and they all did these tours, and they all got all this media attention. They all made money. The CIA probably bought the books and threw them in a volcano just to help pump them up for doing their tell-alls, which there was never any corroborated information in like any of them. It's crazy. But like most of the media oftentimes are just former officials in government who are there providing a talking point, but with the underlying purpose of at some point promoting their book. Notice that, and you will never not see it when you watch the news. It's it's all a scam. It's really all a scam. But they make it seem like he's trying to avoid that outcome. Well, he doesn't care about that outcome. He does not care. He probably said, Omarosa, go spill all the fake secrets. You can make stuff up. Make some money, Omarosa. You're black. Make some money. You need it. He probably said something. I don't know. But he doesn't care about that. But they want that to be a thing instead of actually pointing out the difference. And so if it's a firing, then it has to be a demotion. But is it a demotion? What is the new job she's taking on? Let's look at that. The new job that sex doll Kristi Noem of the Homeland Department of Security, the dumbest bitch, like seriously, that's a competition too. Like if you can beat out Boebert and Nancy Mace as the dumbest bitch and get that job, because that's the person you have to give that job to, is the dumbest bitch. You can't give that to anybody who has any type of like concern about awareness with what's going on with the public, or if they were to learn things, concern about anything other than the directives they were given. Shoot the dog and take him back to wherever the hell they came from. And I'm not against deportation when it's like I'm just saying that you read Trump's book, Art of the Deal, and you do understand him a lot, his approach to things, and it is very much so put people in positions who aren't going to have like a moral problem with things that others might have a problem doing. Even if like the overall, you believe in the overall cause, and there's definitely, I'm not opposed to the borders or the deportation of people who are bad people at all. I'm just saying there's a reason she got that job. And it's because things get dirty. And when things get dirty, you need somebody who's a psycho and a bitch and is a little bit dirty. And I don't like that aspect of it, but that's why Kristi Noem has that job. That's why, right? And she's she's like a new AI. It's weird. She's like an uncanny valley sex doll. The extensions they're getting on these things are amazing. But that's why she has a job, and that's why Mark, what's his name? And she did a good job at the job based on what she was assigned to do. And she wasn't actually fired. Look at her new job. The new job she got, where's the description of it here? Wait, let me tell you how NPR said this. This is what NPR said, just to really illustrate what I'm saying. Because Trump literally provided the statement himself, and they're going to these secret whistleblowers who have information on the matter or familiar with a person who's familiar with the hallway that the conversation happened behind the doors of. And so they ignore all the actual direct sourcing to find the other sourcing, which is not even real. They said, NPR, that this is the first major shakeup of Trump's second cabinet. Or this is BBC, excuse me. And that previously he replaced, in his first term, the National Security Advisor, the White House Chief of Staff, other top officials, oftentimes by announcing the firing in a tweet. Exactly. Like literally exactly. The turmoil in his team frequently overshadowed his policies. They continued by saying, in a scene reminiscent of Trump's first term, Noem was delivering a speech in the moments when Trump posted his social media message announcing her firing. Then, calling Noem, they did, BBC, they said that Noem may be the first high-profile casualty of Trump's second term, but maybe not the last. And yet, she is still in his administration. None of those people they described as him taking to social media to fire went on to continue being in his administration. So she's a casualty, yet she's got a new position. Is it a demotion? So the new position is this. Doesn't seem like a demotion to me. he moved her to a security-related position dealing with, as he described it in his post on Truth Social, dealing with all of the Western Hemisphere. A special envoy for the Shield of America, as he described it, a shielded summit that he's organizing that involves 11 Latin countries that are going to make up the Shield, and that she will kind of be, it seems, maybe an overseer or an enforcer for, the person with experience. Because what Kristi Noem, when she announced her new position also, she said there's going to be a big announcement. She was excited about it at this golf course where they're organizing all these Latins. And she said that this Shield of America is, how did she describe it? It's going to be dealing with fighting the cartels. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so they're going to be going after the cartels, she says, and drug trafficking in the entire Western Hemisphere. That's this new task force with 11 countries that they're organizing that he has said, Kristi, you're now going to go away from the DHS and you're going to be on this new task force dealing with global cartels, global trap. I mean, this is exactly what she was doing as Homeland Security Secretary. That was a messaging anyway. Get the people doing the drugs, the trafficking, the get them out. And that was her job. And it was done domestically. And this is like the exact same job based on this description, except it's globally. So good job, Kristi. Probably the perspective. Now let's let you handle 11 countries. So this is not a firing. This is not a demotion. This is actually a promotion and a congratulations of a job well done by enhancing the responsibilities of someone willing to shoot a puppy that she never took the time to train or put on a leash. Like, it's a different story, or at least according to her. Like somebody who bragged about that. If it's a dog that's like you've trained it, you've tried everything, it's biting people and killing chickens, that's a different argument. But when you literally describe it as a puppy that you're letting run around free and you're doing no actual responsibility for watching, and you're like, oh, it killed a chicken, so I shot it and killed it. That's the person you want to oversee the 11 Latin countries in the deportation and coming after the cartels. This is a promotion. Everybody is, they're not necessarily lying, but a lot of them are, but they're very misinformed about it. And that brings us to she's going to be LARPing as a sex doll of Homeland Security for 11 countries now is what she's going to be doing. And this interpretation that I'm providing is by no means crazy or by no means unsupported by evidence or by no means a wild conspiracy. It's actually, based on what they're telling, far more evidence-based than likely. And yet everyone says the thing. Like you literally can read his own words. And in the reporting, they say, he used to just say it outright. And then they say, but he didn't mean what he actually said. It's just like, I hate the news. They're so full of it. It doesn't matter. Of course there's stuff beneath the text, there's a subtext and everything. But like they're just so, I think people who live in the wilderness are probably happier personally. People who live on islands that have never been contacted, the ones who they see a plane, they start firing arrows at it. Or a couple people who get too drunk on a rowboat, row over there, and they end up getting, their heads spiked up on something as an example, and their asses eaten for dinner. Those people who don't know, those untainted tribes, feel like the internet would destroy them. Now let's talk about her replacement. And this is the next part of it. Mark Wayne Mullins, Mark Wayne is his first name. That's part of, that's one, there's no space there. Mark Wayne. Mullins is his last name. Again, he's from Oklahoma. And they kind of frame this as like, well, Kristi Noem couldn't do the job. They had to bury her firing by giving her a more responsibility. You know, they fired her by giving her more and demoted her by giving her responsibility over the cartel fighting and all that of 11 countries instead of just one. So that makes a lot of sense. And so they had to bring somebody in who was next in line, right? That's not it at all. What Mark Wayne Mullins is I described Kristi Noem's qualifications and her personality traits that suited her for this job, that she was kind of trying to get. Like, that's like her application for the job. And she's like, look, I'll kill a puppy. I'll do anything. I'll kill a puppy, turn me into a sex doll. I'll have sex with all of them before I don't care. Just give me the job. Put a dozen, I will shoot the puppies as they're coming out of the dog womb. Just give me the job, is like her attitude. I don't think she ever did that also. As I said, I think that's all made up. I think there's people who've done that in the circumstances I described earlier, where they've tried and tried, and they probably didn't do it the way she did. I dug a hole, and maybe. But Mark Wayne Mullins is just the one of the few people in Congress who are as completely socially unaware and completely psychopathic and completely just sucking off the dick of every order he's ever been given, to not care about any other reality outside of that he is the next best thing. All right, you saw what Kristi accomplished. We're going to give you an opportunity. Can you be our next Nick Saban? That's what it is. He's not replacing her as the next man up. He is now in the situation of trying to live up to her. And let me explain to you why Mark Wayne Mullins is this. This guy is the biggest dipshit that anybody has ever experienced. And all he does to go viral, and that's all he tries to do, is it's never about a question he asked during a congressional testimony. He's a senator, so he does get to ask these questions. He never has a good one. All he does is threaten to fight people in the hallway. He literally goes viral for his moments threatening to fight people in the hallway of Congress. And yeah, that's entertaining, but when you kind of go back and look at what he does, which that's what I do, it's what I do for a living, that is all he does, because that's the only way he gets the attention in the attention economy. And the guy is literally never asked a question with any, like, it's just like, what, I will fight you in the hallway. I mean, it's crazy. It's hilarious, but also, when you realize the scam that it is, it's like, okay. And then his MMA fighter back, or what do you do, like one or two fights? Like, it wasn't real MMA shit. You know, he'd get his ass whipped in real MMA shit. He would. I'm confident in saying he'd get his ass whipped in real MMA shit. This guy's a phony. Clip me on that. I don't give a shit. I'm faster than he is. I don't care. I'm craftier than he is. And he's stupid. But he's the right kind of stupid for this position. Here, the most glaring example, which I thought was you've never seen a better example of how little a senator or a House rep gives a shit about something like a confirmation hearing or the vetting process, or truly asking revealing questions to make a decision, waiting until finding out information to decide on something. You've never seen someone who's just been like, stamp, I know what I'm supposed to do, put a stamp on it, and I don't care. And no one has ever demonstrated this more than Mark Wayne Mullins did during Pete Hegseth's confirmation hearing, when they were confirming him for the Department of Defense, now Secretary of War. His questions illustrated to everyone, including, very obviously, Pete Hegseth himself, who, during most of Mark Wayne Mullins' questioning, commenting, which was fully designed to try and prop up and help Hegseth, no one in that room was more uncomfortable and wanted Mullins to shut up than Pete Hegseth. And he just kept talking. And he was so confident in what he was saying. And he was speaking with such certainty and with a tone of such a moral high ground over everyone else, daring to ask the questions they were asking. Because part of the thing going on during this was the theme was Pete Hegseth does not have the qualifications that meet the standard to be the Secretary of Defense. And most of the claims by the Democrats were he cheated on every wife he had. And so it largely was connected to infidelity, which I agree these are personal attacks, and they didn't make much of an effort to connect it to the job. They would talk about his drinking and stuff like that. That's a little bit of a better argument they were trying to make. But most of the Republicans who were supporting him had at least done 2 seconds of research on Pete Hegseth, which prevented them from saying the stupidest shit any person could ever say, making themselves look dumber than any person could ever look, fully confident, completely unaware of how stupid he looked. Perfect for the job of Kristi Noem, the new sex doll. Maybe they'll dress him like a sex doll for that position as well if he gets passed. But here's what he did. So it gets to be his turn. And so he's trying to defend Pete. And he starts off, instead of doing what everyone else did, and either claiming he doesn't have the requirements and going through his personal history and saying this doesn't meet the standard, or as the Republicans did, they would go through, he's accomplished this, he's accomplished that. It has nothing to do with infidelity. Look at his long list of accomplishments is what the Republicans were doing. This is why he's qualified and why he meets that high standard to occupy this position. He went, and maybe honestly, if he did this intentionally and isn't stupid, then I would say he's smart. But he's not. Could be portrayed as that, though. He went another way with it. His thing was, look, and you can go back and watch it. I played clips of this on the show. It's so funny. It's so funny because he thinks he's being smart. His whole thing was, I've had a lot of problems. Everyone here's had a lot of problems. If we all had to be held to standards that we needed to be qualified for and meet to get these positions, none of us would have these positions. That was literally his thing, that no one would. And in that, he might be very correct on that. But then he turned his argument to not that Pete Hegseth is qualified for the position, but that there are no qualifications and there are no standards to meet the position. So therefore, he is qualified for the position by way of there being no standards to occupy any position in the House of Congress. A hilariously and brilliant, if on purpose, argument, which he then followed up with, like, if he had stopped there, if he had just shut up there, Pete Hegseth probably would have appreciated his argument. But then he decided to address the accusations of infidelity, which were true and admitted head on. Didn't need to be really, who cares? Did not need to be discussed. It didn't matter. I mean, it didn't matter. But he thought he was like, I'm going to do something different to go viral. And it didn't really go as viral as it should have, actually. I probably played it more than anybody else. Most people didn't really catch on to it. He decided to talk directly to Pete Hegseth's wife, who was there sitting next to him. And like he's telling everybody, you guys need to understand that this woman right here, and he's like pointing at her, and you can see Pete Hegseth. He even asked Pete something about his wife, and Pete knew where he was going with it, and Pete was like, are we really going to talk about my wife? He's trying to say, shut up, dude, just shut up. But he doesn't want to shut up because he's an idiot. He's perfect for the job that Trump is putting him in. He says, I want to thank you because we basically, and I'm summing it up, basically everyone in here is cheated. We've all committed infidelity, but the reason that we are where we are and that we've come through it is because of our spouses and those who stand next to us who forgave us for the wrong that we did and helped us become the men and women that we are now. And you, and he's talking directly to her, you Miss Hegseth, you forgave this man. And Pete just got his head because Pete and everybody else knows because they did research. And you'll understand what I'm saying in a second. He doesn't know what he's actually saying right now. You forgave him for this infidelity. And he has 7 children, Pete Hegseth does. He had 6 children at the time that the infidelity happened. You kept this large family together despite it. You could have gone somewhere else, but you saw your man made a mistake and you forgave him, just like we've all been forgiven and we've all made mistakes, and you're a good woman. And I want to thank you, and we should all of you should be thanking her for what she's done for this man. And especially, and I want to say this, he said, especially for during this trying time, for being such a great and wonderful mother to y'all's children. And that was his statement, and then he moved on. And he was so happy and confident. Like he thought that he had just made the best argument anybody has ever made to say this infidelity doesn't mean anything, even though it really didn't anyway in the argument. But what he actually did is kind of the opposite, because the problem with what he said is that woman that he gave all that praise to and called so much attention to, that was the mistress. That was the woman that Pete Hegseth cheated on his wife with that everybody else was talking about, which that's a dick move of them to do with her in there. But also, you make your bed, you lie in it. I don't think it's relevant for the position. I agree with that. But everybody was talking about Pete cheating on his previous wife that he was divorced from. And this idiot didn't do 2 seconds of research before. You could tell he didn't. He was just like trying to come up with shit, thinking he was like smart. He had no idea that this was the mistress that he left the wife that everyone else was talking about for. And he's saying that you kept the family together when she, along with him, actually are what broke it apart. And he's saying, thank you for being such a good mother to y'all's children, when the 6 children that he had at the time of this incident, this infidelity, were the children of his previous wives, who, most of them his wife right before, or I don't know how many, he had 3 wives. I don't know how many were the first wife or the second wives, but he's telling her she's a great mother for 6 kids that are not hers, most of whom probably despise her for taking their dad away from their mom. And this idiot is calling attention to everybody and shaming everybody about how they aren't praising this woman for keeping the family together and taking care of her children, which aren't even hers. And this is somebody you want to run ICE. This is somebody you want in the position that Kristi Noem was just in, walking around like a sex doll doing these PR stunts. This is somebody that you know will go out there 5 minutes after an incident happens, regardless of what you think about it, to go out and make a public statement and say, this was a terrorist trying to murder all of these ICE agents. Maybe there's an argument for it, but 5 minutes? I'm not saying there is. That whole thing is all messed up. You know my position on that. I think everybody involved is a problem. I think everybody's a problem there. But to go out and say that definitively 5 minutes later, which Trump did until they read public opinion and backed off on it, that's exactly what he wanted her to do, because the whole purpose of that was to support their agents, no questions asked, so they don't have the police officer effect after the George Floyd thing. Let's demonstrate that they can do whatever so they can do this mission or whatever they're doing. And you need someone who is unconcerned with reality, who's unconcerned with nuance, who like, what is your qualifications for this job? I killed a puppy I never trained because it killed a chicken after I let it run around without watching it. You're the right woman for the job. Mark Wayne Mullins is that type of person. He is going to be living up to her not trying to fix what she did. That's what's going on. It's not a firing. This is a promotion, and this is all right, let's hope you can be the next Nick Saban, because if you can't, I mean, he's actually got some tough shoes to follow. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, if this guy gets in, I mean, you guys think I'm exaggerating. Go back and watch that hearing and watch some other stuff this guy did. This guy is, like, Kristi Noem is so stupid. I mean, she's so stupid. But she's the right kind of stupid, for controllably stupid. But this guy is even stupider. He will do anything. Anything that he's told to do, doesn't matter. And it will get worse. It will get far worse. The conflict will increase. The division will increase because he's even dumber. He's an even dumber AI robot or whatever he is, shameless. And people are acting like this is a firing. They don't see what this is. That's what this shit is. What's up, Steve? What's up, Sonia? Good to see you guys. That's right. Fall upward. I don't think they fell upward, Ryan. Uncanny Valley, totally. No, I mean, I literally think she's getting promoted because this is a bigger job she's getting to do the same thing. And Mark Wayne Mullins, what he's getting is an opportunity to do something. He wished that he would have been selected over Kristi Noem. He didn't get selected. That's the way. That's the more likely explanation for this based on the facts. This whole firing thing is just bullshit. It's just all bullshit to try and make it seem like there's chaos internally. It's not. There's not. Like he literally. She's now the sex doll ICE agent in chief for 11 countries instead of just one. And they're like, it's a demotion. No, it's not. You don't even know what it is yet. They don't even know what it is yet. They only know the little bit of description they've given us, which is what I just described. And they're like, this is definitely a demotion, this thing that I didn't. It's all bullshit. And mostly they just copy somebody else's story. They just see the headline, they copy it. Because I started to work on this story too. And I changed the title of the show. I don't know, you might have noticed it if you got here early. But it was initially, and you can see it on the background image of this, it was initially, they fired Sex Doll Noem. And then I started looking at it a little bit closer because I wanted to see the exact language and, all the stuff nobody else does really. And I was like, he never fired her. And he always fired people. He loves to fire people. It's his favorite thing. It's his catchphrase. He doesn't hide firings. Everything they're describing is uncharacteristic and opposite of what he's always been and continues to be. And that's why I changed the title. Because I'm like, I got caught in the trap of just seeing the same headline everybody else was posting on the right and the left, and then characterizing this thing the exact same way they all did without actually looking to see if that's what it was. And it's not what it is. What does that mean? I mean, it means, for me, it's a deconstruction of the media and the way they're telling the truth, where they can actually all uniformly tell you the opposite of something, of the reality, and make you think there's chaos going on in a certain area of government within, where there's not at all. Probably a celebration, Probably got a huge cake with somebody dressed as a furry and a puppy. The furry puppy popped out of the cake, and Kristi Noem got to shoot it right in the head, and everybody celebrated and ate cake, blood-covered cake, human blood, but in a puppy furry thing, and they all celebrated. And she moved forward. And obviously I'm exaggerating. Don't sue me. I'm exaggerating. Not that I have to tell anybody that. Except for, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to do it. Nevertheless, what else would this mean? So what benefit is it to the media and others in power to kind of misconstrue this story? It's a tough question sometimes. Like, why is it simply everything has got to be a smear as negative conflict? Like, why else might I don't know the answer to that. I just know that's what they're doing. It's definitely what they're doing. Maybe to undermine the authority that Kristi Noem is getting. That's probably part of it. Because Kristi Noem does not need to have power over anything, and yet what is that? I don't even know times 11. She just took the power she had and they times it by 11. You had one country, now we're giving you 11 countries, the Latin countries. And it's a big announcement. And it's the shield. Like, this is not a demotion. This is a woman who shouldn't have any power, whose power just expanded immensely and across borders. And yet the media is like, she got fired and demoted. No, she didn't. And maybe even more concerning is giving this other guy, the dumbest fuck on the planet, even more. This guy has never given a shit about anybody who voted for him ever. Like, he is every example of someone who should never be voted into power, but is enough of a psycho and has enough of a background and connection to power through his military experience and resources that he can win by just doing robotic talking points and attacking the other side. Just like that's what he does. Owning the libs. Fun to own the libs, but people who own the libs but also add a little substance are going to be better. This guy's never had an ounce of substance in his life. And now he has more power. So that's the story they're not telling you. It's two people who should never be elected or have any power, just got immensely more powerful. Kristi Noem's ice spinal tap. That'd be really funny. Spinal tap version of everybody in government. They're not going to put in people who are asking like good questions and people who are thinking. They're not going to put people trying to climb out of Plato's cave in these positions of power, because those are people that ask questions. They're going to put the people who will happily and just they will love nothing more than just doing what they're told they need to do and ignoring everything around them that might say maybe you shouldn't be doing some of this. Maybe sometimes it is the right thing to do in instances. But people who do things anyway and don't care about the reality around them, and we're giving them more power simply because of their willingness to be a uncanny valley robot. I hope they put big fake tits on him and there's long hair, and I hope he walks around just let's at least humiliate him like that, because he would happily do that. He would happily do that. MMA, undefeated MMA fighter. He fought like 2 fights again. Like this guy would get dominated by any real MMA fighter. What a faggot. All right, let's move on. What did I do? I was going to do 10 minutes there. Good. So 54 minutes, exactly like I had planned. 44 minutes longer. Bill Clinton testimony. I promised you guys this last week. This is going to be pretty quick. And I did on Austin's show and Jose's show. I did show some of this. But so I've been telling people for a very long time. That's why at the beginning I was very appreciative of people who have shouted me out for being one of the few people who are pointing to factual, provable things when it comes to the Epstein files that have been for years. It's very easy to prove that Bill Clinton lied during his testimony. It's like, I'm going to prove it to you. And I knew this would happen. I told you this would happen the exact way that it did before. But here's some clips of Bill Clinton being asked. First question. He's asked when he first learned of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, which is literally one of the questions in context that I sent the House Oversight Committee and told them they need to ask. But within the context they needed to ask it in is what was important. And they asked the question, but they completely left out the relevant context. Very predictable, these people. Man. All right. I have to say, Bill Clinton, the guy's a criminal. All these politicians, they're all mostly criminals. But the dude, even at 80, the charm he is able to display, especially when you contrast it to his wife, Hillary was so happy to be relevant and just so happy to scream at people again. Bill Clinton is up here going, man, dude, this guy still got it. This guy still got his charm up here. And that's why he became president. That's why they selected him. It's because of that. He's all shaky. I mean, he looks like he's got a foot in a coffin. Hold on, sorry. I'll hit these comments after the show. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me this late at night. All right, here he is. He's 80-something now. I don't know what.
Provide transportation. And I thought Mr. Epstein was an interesting man, but I didn't think he was really interested in what I was doing. That is, he asked all these questions. He did ask about economics and politics, as he said he would. And he never asked me anything untoward. It's just that I thought I had done what I promised to do, and he had done what he promised to do. And I thought I've always, over the years,
Here it comes. Right here.
with these donors, tried not to overstay my welcome. I thought that we'd done enough, and then it's time to start working with other people.
How shaky he is. I mean, the guy's old.
When did you first learn of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes?
There you go. When did you first learn of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes? Which you guys know what I'm leading at if you've been watching the show.
I think in 2008 when he was
2008.
prosecuted.
Okay.
There's nothing that I saw when I was around him
Okay.
that made me realize he was trafficking women.
Okay, so first heard about his crimes in 2008. Nothing he knew around. That is, I mean, that's the exact answer I expected because that's what he teased in some of his social media posts, so it was predictable. If this would have been on Polymarket, I would have made a lot of money, but unfortunately, this one was not on Polymarket. This document here, I'm going to share it when I've shared it with you guys so many times. This is the one that's got me kicked off my website, the radio, and you can see here this document says, I'll make it a little bigger. July 6, 2007 is the date of this document. And this is that plea negotiation letter that I talk about relentlessly because it is the most important and when it comes to doing an actual investigation document that has concrete evidence because it has the names of 5 individuals. There's references to big institutions, the Trilateral Commission. There's been pieces of this document going around and screenshotted, clipped images without giving the full context of what it is, which I'm going to give you an even fuller context because I learned a little bit more about it recently. Only 5 people were named specifically in this document, and they were put in the document as character references for Jeffrey Epstein to help him, who was facing life in prison at the time for the charges, which included charges of inappropriate sexual acts with 14-year-olds. And that one did not end up in the final charges because of the deal, but he was facing life in prison. And this letter was put together by his attorneys, and the 5 names they chose, who are the 5 people whose names who are going to be character references. And if you're an attorney, you're thinking, from my experience in law school writing briefs, you're thinking people who I know are never going to come out and oppose their inclusion into this, who I would likely, definitely, especially if they're a former president, go to and say, you okay if I drop your name to help old Jeffy get a little bit of a sweetheart deal, and whose names would never be allowed to be used for such a purpose, and a deal be given without the prosecutor going, hey, maybe we should call and check on this reference as a former president and see if they're okay with their inclusion in this document. And obviously Bill Clinton's name is one of those 5. And the others are the scientists, Lawrence Cross, Martin Seligman, Martin Novick, and Roger Schnack. And 3 of those guys donated to Epstein afterwards. They tried to rehabilitate his brand. They snuck him around at college universities because their entire careers depended on him. He had been funding their entire careers. He called one of them his favorite scientist. The only 2, as far as I can find on the internet, I've done a lot of research on this, who have never been publicly asked about their inclusion in this document. Not to help the prosecution, and you'll see why that's important in a minute, but to help the defense and to help Jeffrey, have never been asked about that, or have never been publicly scrutinized for their relationship. Bill Clinton's been scrutinized, but not to the extent the others guys. Martin Seligman's the other one. But these other dudes said stuff like, my life was uplifted by Jeffrey. They loved him. They visited him in prison. So Bill Clinton would be the outlier if he was not one of these guys who just loved Jeffrey Epstein and continued to love him. And yet he's saying that he didn't know anything about the crimes until 2008. He didn't know about he didn't know anything. And yet here, a 2007 document that literally helped Epstein get that infamous sweetheart deal, Bill Clinton is one of the 5 chosen to help him get it. Let me show you this. So I did not even know that I thought the timeline, I didn't realize it was this close. This document is from the DOJ website. By the way, that other document I just showed you, that's the one that I got on Pacer because one of the lawyers years and years ago directed me to it. And every time I put it online, it would get taken down. That's actually in the Epstein files. You can search it now. And when I messaged the House Oversight Committee, and I left them a phone call too, I told them exactly how to find it. I said, here's what you search to find this document. Here's the page it's on. Here are the names to search. And I gave them everything I handed them the right questions. I handed them the documentation of that document and this document. I put it on a platter for them. And I said, if you're serious, then this is what you ask him. And then they actually asked one of the questions. I'm not saying they saw that from me. I'm saying that's a natural question. They probably didn't see it from me because they left out the relevant context, which is what they've done for years since Trump first ran when it comes to information in this document. They have done nothing but these image screenshots that don't show the full thing and that are void of context because the context is what is damning here. And this one, so this is, just to show you, Department of Justice, Office of Responsibility. It's the investigation to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida's resolution of its 2006-2008 federal criminal investigation of Epstein and his interactions with the victims. And then you go down, and remember that July 6, 2007 date. Down here, okay, so they're discussing how the plea deal came to be and some of the aspects of it. They leave out a lot. They generalize a lot of stuff. This is a summary. I tried to find the full investigation. This is just a summary. But this says, for several weeks following submission of prosecution memorandum and proposed indictment, the AUSA, which those are the AUSA supervisors reviewed the case to determine how to proceed. What is AUSA? Hold on. Make sure. Okay, the Assistant United States Attorneys, okay, for the federal prosecutors and litigators. That's what I thought. And then you come down here, and the USAO here is the United States Attorney Office in Southern District of Florida. That's what that's a reference to. And so it says, for several weeks following the submission of the prosecution memorandum and proposed indictment, the AUSA supervisors reviewed the case to determine how to proceed. At a July 31st, 2007, that's 3 weeks after this letter was written by his attorneys and sent to the USAO of the Southern District of Florida, in a July 31st meeting with Epstein, his attorneys, the USAO offered to end its investigation if Epstein pled guilty to state charges. That's exactly what ultimately happened. 3 weeks after the letter that leveraged Bill Clinton's power and influence to help Epstein go from life in prison to a slap on the wrist in a prison he funded the building of, he can go home on the weekends. He got to stay in the luxury wing. The federal prosecutors, go to Epstein's attorneys and they say, okay, well, he pleads to state charges, we'll drop the federal charges. And then down here, you see, they subsequently engaged in additional meetings and communications with Epstein's team of attorneys, ultimately negotiating terms of a state-based resolution of the federal investigation, which culminated in the signing of the non-prosecution agreement on September 24, 2007. The timeline is this. And unlike Candace Owens, this is actually an evidence-based timeline that everyone can verify. July 6, 2007, Jeffrey Epstein's lawyers write a plea negotiation letter saying you need to give our boy a deal. Look at all these powerful organizations, Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations. It kind of reads like a threat from my interpretation, but nevertheless, look at all the things. And how about these 5 specifically named people who he was really tight with, who had great comments to say about him? Give him a deal. 3 weeks later, the federal prosecutors say, you know what, we'll drop the case if he owns up to state charges. A little over 2 months later, he signs that plea deal. And even if someone were to argue, well, that doesn't mean the letter had the influence that I'm suggesting. Of course it had an influence. It still doesn't change the provable fact that there are 5 specifically named individuals, including Bill Clinton, whose name they chose to use to exploit their power and influence to get him that deal. And just to make sure, I don't know if I showed you Clinton's name. I have before, but for new viewers, page 21. Okay. This is a document I've had for years, but you can also find this in the Epstein files. So there he is, Clinton, talking about how Clinton described him as a committed philanthropist, and how he reached his conclusion, their interactions together. And this is the famous document you saw a snippet of years ago about how he was part of the original group that conceived of the Clinton Global Initiative. You know, I told a friend of mine this in 2016, that Epstein was this exact phrase here, because I had this document then. And he loved Hillary. And I thought maybe, the reason I started researching it is I said, are they both pedophiles? What's going on here? And his reaction was, I just went to the Clinton Global Initiative website, which was, they hadn't closed at that point. And he said, I don't see Jeffrey Epstein listed as one of the founders. And this is a smart individual in every other context. Not even recognizing that if someone becomes considered and branded as a pedophile because of his sex crimes and considered to be a spy, and all, which at that time he was considered that. That is what people who were in power, there were stories that didn't get a lot of attention that portrayed him in this light, and there were victims that had come out. And to think, well, they're going to leave this guy on their founder. Yeah, look at the founder. We're so proud Jeffrey Epstein founded our organization. Why would it be? It's like one of the most glaring burned in my mind examples of confirmation bias I've ever seen. Because this is not a person who would typically use logic like that. Well, no, I know that what you're saying is not true, even though I literally sent him this document. I literally sent him this 30-page document. And yet he went to the website and said, it's not true what you're saying. He didn't read the document, but he said his name's not on the website. That's how powerful, confirmation bias, powerful drug. I love that guy too, smart, but I'm just like, man, I'll never forget. I was like, that's the dumbest response from the smartest person I've ever heard in my life. And so, am I wrong in that this is what you bring up to Bill Clinton? When did you know about his prosecution? When was the timeline? Are you familiar with the use of your name and influence in this talk? Did you know that happened? If you didn't, well, can we help us understand how a president could be used for such a purpose, who will then later, like you've done recently, post about how I'm willing to help any way I can. I don't understand why he hasn't been charged for the horrific crimes he committed. Well, the reason he hasn't been charged for the horrific crimes to the extent that you're suggesting that he committed is because you literally helped him get off you helped him escape justice. And you are sitting here acting like you don't know what's going on. And not any cocksucker in Congress has the balls to bring this up. This is why the Epstein files are a joke. Because you can go on a witch hunt, I don't say witch hunt, you can go on a scavenger hunt and you can find all kinds of salacious stuff, which is very interesting. And like some of it has more credibility than others, but none of it is as provable as this document I'm showing you and talking about right now. None of it. This is where you start, and yet no one starts there. I handed it to them on a platter. I called them. Do they get those messages at their tip line? I'm sure they do when they feed their narrative. This is why it's all a joke. This is why when all the salacious stuff comes out, I say, I'll read it. I'll read about all the dildos where Epstein said, one of the girls said, what do I got to do better next time? Talking about her client or whatever. He said, get a bigger dildo and a better butt plug. Like I can, all that crazy, silly, weird, sick stuff. Yeah, you could read that, but none of it has more credibility than this. And none of it is more connected to actually getting to truth, because you have names of individuals who you could literally talk to, that you could bring in. Martin Seligman is one of the most powerful people in the world. Nobody even knows who he is. He's considered the most powerful behavioral psychologist in the world right now, the 5th of all time based on academic rankings. He created the theory of learned helplessness. Ted Kaczynski's manifesto was based on his work. Ted Kaczynski said the people were the dogs, which he tortured dogs in his experiment. His experiments for learned helplessness, which was done at UPenn around the same time in the 60s when MKUltra was going on, tortured dogs until they wouldn't even leave a cage when it was left wide open because they had learned helplessness. They thought nothing they could do could help them escape. And he posited this could be effective, and you do the same thing to humans, which after 9/11, the CIA went to him, and they talked to him about his learned helplessness theory and tactics, and they made his learned helplessness approach the basis for the black site post 9/11 interrogation torture program that became famous. And then fast forward, this document here talks about how Epstein funded his Positive Psychology Center, which is widely considered a brainwashing center. It's a program designed. It was against the Nuremberg Code, is how it's characterized by most, because he was given actually Epstein funded this creation of this in 2003 at UPenn, same place. And then right after Epstein got out, right after he got this deal, like 2008, is he 2008 or 9? Seligman, who's in this document along with Bill Clinton as one of his character references. I know I've told many of you this, but I know there's some new listeners here today, so I really want to hammer this point home. Was given a $31 million no-bid contract because they said nobody else can do it, to conduct what was described by most other people in the psychological community as a brainwashing experiment against the Nuremberg Code, because this experiment was conducted on soldiers who didn't know they were being experimented on. And the experiment was designed to get those who had experienced TPSD from getting them to overcome that trauma and go fight again. That was one of the purposes. Another one was to brainwash soldiers into putting any concern for self or family behind the orders of their commander, regardless of what those orders are or if they disagree with them. They would give them virtue scores. They would give them morality scores. They would describe them as psychologically resilient or not psychologically resilient. The more psychologically resilient you are, the more conforming and the more willing you're just going to do exactly what Mark Wayne Mullins will do with the ICE thing. He doesn't care. He will do what his commander tells him, even if there are glaring signs that it is a bad person telling you what orders to do. I'm not saying anybody giving him those orders are. It's the point of, you create a robotic person who is just enthusiastic about doing what he's told, regardless of how it affects him or anyone else. And the less, like, he described people as less psychologically resilient when they would be a problem. They would ask a question. They might hesitate to go in and kill someone that they don't think needs. I mean, this is all in the experiment. And the guy continues, gotten over $100 million to do these experiments. After successfully, according to all these people who give him money, committing the most unethical learned helplessness experiment of all time, and then to put a button on it, a couple buttons. One of the guys who wrote the foreword for his, I know I'm laughing, it's so ridiculous, wrote the foreword for one of his books, died mysteriously in, I don't remember the country, I don't remember the country, but it's like I think it's an Asian country. He was visiting his daughter, who was an actress over there. He's got 2 daughters. I think they're both actresses. He dies mysteriously, according to the description. And at the time that he died, he was being investigated in his home country of Sydney, Australia. And he worked at the University of Sydney, where MK Ultra experiments using the same people that did them at UPenn in the 60s had been transferred over there. You can document they're over there doing the same experiments. This guy was being accused of conducting the same type of torture, learned helplessness experiments that Seligman did on dogs in the 60s here, except he was being accused of doing it on children, which Seligman posited could be done effectively. And then the Unabomber posited was being done effectively, essentially, through the technocracy that he describes. And this guy who wrote that forward was my mind. I just built that up perfectly, and my mind just went completely. Is Nicole Kidman's father, Anthony Kidman? Isn't that crazy? The chicken, Eyes Wide Shut. That's her dad. All of that is provable. And this guy's also in this document with Bill Clinton. Never been asked about it. He shows up a number of times in the searches. Nobody's ever talked to him. And they're conducting right now an experiment to model his brain off of this new AI that they're putting all this money into because they want to continue to benefit from his wisdom when he dies. They called him Dr. Happy in the military. That was his name. And he's now conducting a world happiness experiment based on gathering the linguistic nature of people on social media globally for the purpose of creating psychological resiliency scores. The more resilient you are, according to them, the more you conform. The less, then your problem and policy needs to be developed. I emphasize this stuff to emphasize how crazy it is that not one person in Congress would ask Bill Clinton about this document, let alone subpoena Martin Seligman, or one of these guys is dead. But these other 3 guys should be. This is where the search for truth begins. And this is how you know they're not searching for truth. Maybe they don't know. Maybe a lot of them don't know. They don't get elected because they're smart. They get elected because they got funding and they can be a little bit of a psychopath in their campaigning. But I know some of them know because I told them. I told them in multiple different avenues. So he lied. Truth Violates says, I heard something about butt plug. Who are we talking about? Maybe it could be that guy, the Jewish guy. No, if you search butt plug, I didn't even search butt plug, actually. Believe me, I didn't search that in the Epstein files. I was searching for proton mail because Epstein he knows he's being watched, so anything he says in Gmail, he wants people to see after 2017, after he's become attention to him. And I'm like, how many emails do people have? Obviously, he's got a proton mail. Obviously, he's got more secure, maybe AOL. And so I just searched proton mail. And I found a number of, including from David Stein, the NBA, or David Stern, the commissioner of the NBA at the time, saying, hey, Jeffrey, use proton mail. Let's talk through proton mail. Let's talk through Signal. So there's clearly a lot more secure stuff. This is the stuff, 2017 and up, he wants people to see. But there's messages from some of these girls that he would like hook guys up with, who would ask him questions about how to do better. And it's like the dude was obsessed with butt plugs. I know I said it on some other shows. I don't know if I said it on mine yet or not, but the list of things that were confiscated from one of his houses, I think in Florida, it's just like a computer, laptop, notebook, butt plug, dildo, butt plug, dentist chair, laptop, computer, notebook, butt plug, dildo. At one point, Epstein has an interaction with one of these girls where he's scolding her. He says, I come home and this place is a mess. All the butt plugs and dildos are all over the floor. Are you kidding me? You just leave the butt plugs and dildos all over the floor. I mean, can we not be neat here? I'm tripping over, but the dog's got a butt plug and dildo he's chewing on. We can't use that butt plug and dildo anymore. The guy's like, he's like a disgusting POS, but he's like, he's going to be, just Put the dildos and the butt plugs in the butt plugs in the dildos box when you're done with them is all he was trying to say, it seems like. God, dude. I'll get better at time management one of these days. And like 2 quick clips of Bill Clinton again, because that's not the only time he lied. Like, he literally lies. He acts like he premises it with, I'm 80 years old. I don't know what I remember. Jean-Luc Brunel. I don't think I remember Jean-Luc Brunel. I don't know who he was. The guy who died just like Epstein and I don't know who he was. So he's got that excuse of, I kind of feel like he's shaking his hand a little over shaky on purpose. Maybe not, but in other public appearances, he is not that shaky. Yeah, I don't know, but I know. That's what I'm saying. All right, so check this one out. I don't even remember what he's asked here, but is that the same one? Hold on, I might just play the same one. Okay, no, hold on, it's the wrong one. Get rid of that one. This is the one. You guys saw the pictures of him, the video of him looking through the photos that they showed him, and the lawyer had to take the photos away because he's like laughing and reminiscing at the photos. It was funny. I mean, it's sick, but it's like a weird parody. He's like, oh, I remember that, yeah. There he is.
I don't know who that is.
Jean-Luc Brunel.
I don't know who that is. I don't believe.
He doesn't believe he does.
Alan Dershowitz.
I know him. And I'm not aware that we ever talked about Epstein.
That's interesting, isn't it? So the question here, which his answer reveals, have you ever talked to any of these people that I'm about to list off about Epstein or Maxwell? And then he lists off all these people. And he had to think about Dershowitz there. And let me bring you back to this document. The plea negotiation letter from 2007 that shortly before the deal happened, as you can see here at the bottom of this letter, the name who signed it, Alan Dershowitz. So Alan Dershowitz wrote the letter that included Bill Clinton's name that helped Jeffrey Epstein get the sweetheart deal instead of life in prison in 2007, a year before Bill Clinton says that he found out about it. And Bill Clinton never knew about it. These all seem like things that would have been relevant to bring up, do they not? This is a court document. It's indisputable. None of the people in this document, this isn't speculation. These are all things that these people signed off on. And they're like, yeah, it seems like lying, forgetting, strong forgetting, and bad questioning is what that is. Because you don't really have to be good at questioning to be a congressperson. You just got to be a dipshit, really. And one more, and this might be the last time I really talk about this because I don't think I need to anymore. I don't remember what this one was, but it's similar.
Mr. Epstein.
Okay, yeah, you'll know the relevance here when you hear it.
And young women or girls.
Absolutely not.
Mr. President, for the record, have you ever been contacted by any law enforcement agency concerning Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
He's very he takes a minute for this one here.
As far as I know, no.
Right. Well, as far as I know, there's literally a document that proves that you have.
As far as I remember. Back in 2008, I sort of thought somebody might ask me something.
He did. He thought they might ask him something, maybe because his name was in a 2007 court document that got Jeffrey Epstein the deal, written by Alan Dershowitz, the lawyer who he says he never talked to it about. It's literally in court documents. Finally, it's in the Epstein files, and he doesn't remember, and none of these dumb fucks have the balls to put the most hard evidence of him lying in front of them, which I sent to them, which is in the Epstein files. I told them how to search it. I told them where to find it. It's all bullshit. You get Nancy Mace coming up there saying, why are you such a, like, not asking, and then saying, I shut him up with my question. No, you didn't do it. All they all do is they're trying to ask questions that get them a viral clip, none of which are concerned at all with finding the truth, which this is the most provable shit anybody's ever showed you that nobody actually focuses on. I'm done with it after this. I've done it for 10 years. I've showed this. And finally, William Ramsey, Tripoli. There's been people with bigger platforms of mine that have finally, not that they didn't know about it, like because they're like me, they get suppressed, but who have called attention to it. But none of these people who get elected do. They're sucking themselves off. That's all they fucking do. Roll around, fucking fillet themselves. Homosexual, weird. It's just so. And they're elected. They're what's their salary? $120,000, $150,000. They're getting all these promotions, and everybody who goes to Congress gets rich. Stacey Abrams, nobody's gotten richer off of losing. Stacey, she was like worth $300,000 when she ran. She loses 2 elections in a row. She's worth $50 million. That's how it works in Congress too. And people are electing these cocksuckers, and they're doing nothing that they could be doing. And there's not a person on the planet that can argue against the case that I've made here. Not one. Michael Tracy or whatever. I don't like the arguments that he make. I'm not. He could never. I'm arguing what's in evidence. You're baited by the crazy shit that's like. There's maybe truth, but like you stick with the fucking evidence, and nobody will fucking pay attention to it ever. They'll take your website down. Man. Like 2 a.m. I haven't slept in 2 days. That's when you know I'm on fire, is when it's like that. I will say this, though. Bill Clinton's still charming in his old days. Still a lot better charming liar than old Hill Dog. That's right, Ryan. You're exactly right, Ryan. Yeah. That's the wrong time.
Her relationship to be with Mr. Epstein.
I thought she was sort of his.
So he had asked about Maxwell, the wrong tab up. He had asked, did I have the wrong tab up for the other one too? Did I do that again? That's hilarious if I did. I just went on a rant about a clip you guys didn't even see. It'd be funny. It might have happened. But he's saying when he knew Maxwell and what he believed her character is, like what her role was with Jeffrey.
For staff or administrator.
And you said that you first met Miss Maxwell with Mr. Epstein. Is that after you were president?
It's the wrong fucking clip, actually. I wasn't even clipping her to show you guys.
Because I was glad this had come out since it had happened. But I don't.
Okay, so sorry, I'm getting so animated here. I'm forgetting where I was. This is back to where he said he was surprised that nobody came to him and asked him anything because he expected them to, even though, yeah, probably because you helped him get the deal.
Believe anybody ever did.
I'll take that back so you guys can hear that clearly again.
Contacted by any law enforcement agency concerning Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
As far as I know, no. That is, as far as I remember.
Isn't, yeah.
Back in 2008, I sort of.
It's so funny. I'm not going to go back to the beginning, but he does. He starts off with his lawyer, and he's like, I'm going to tell you guys the truth because I think the horrific crimes that happen to these women. But I am 80 years old, and I can't recall many things from this morning anymore. So it's just like he gives He goes ahead and explains away what he can't remember.
Thought somebody might ask me something. Because I was glad this had come out since it had happened.
Why? Because you helped him get the deal provably in court document?
But I don't believe anybody ever did.
No, they did.
You mentioned that you thought someone.
There's where the follow-up question goes, and there's where maybe he's that jittery. He seems like he's putting on a show. But again, that's where somebody who is genuine pursues a further line of questioning. When you have court-documented evidence to dispute what he just said. Nobody does.
Would want to ask you something. Can you elaborate on what that means?
Just because he let me use this airplane.
Oh, that's why. Fuck. So shit. Sorry, I was. I don't want to get sued for defamation. I thought maybe he thought they would ask him about it again because he literally helped him get a sweetheart deal. How many butt plugs have you had inside? Did you get a better dildo and a bigger butt plug like Mr. Epstein suggested in a number of documents, Mr. Clinton? Show us the butt plugs and dildos, and are they better? Did you clean up afterwards, or did you just leave them strewn across the floor of Mr. Epstein's home like those dumb bitches who couldn't clean up after themselves after they satisfied whoever was there? I'm tripping over dildos and butt plugs, you dumb bitch. I mean, that's what really the thing is, like. Can you call someone a victim who just leaves dildos and butt plugs for Jeffrey Epstein to trip over in his own home? That's not something I would ever say. That's just a characterization of the emails. If you're not going to ask real questions, ask ridiculous questions, okay? Make it funny if you're not going to be serious about it. And none of these people, I hate it. I hate all these. I hate what they do. It's just so... God, dude. It's like what? It's like it's so entrenched in Plato's cave. It's like unbelievable. Most of the people in Congress are too. All right, so let's move it over for a little bit of a lighter note. So I live in an area of Georgia which is pretty safe. There's only been like one murder here in 10 years, and it's safe for the most part. But so it's not. There is a terror campaign going on, and there's a video on X that I really connected with because the same terrorists that are attacking people in this video have attacked me personally, my property. And I'm going to show you, and I want to warn you guys if you guys see any of these terrorists, because they will fight you, the police. They will get on your car and use the bathroom. Is turkeys. Turkeys are terrorists. This is a UPS guy delivering a package running. He just ran. He's running for his life. He threw the package for those listening, and now he's just getting the hell out. Look at this.
Oh my God.
And these people are just laughing. They're doing the equivalent of filming a mass shooting from a college dorm room. Help the guy. And now they're taking over the UPS van. They've gotten inside the UPS van. And I can attest to it. I woke up one morning and there was a turkey standing looking at my window like it was about to fight my car. This is a couple months ago. After Thanksgiving, you know. Did Trump pardon this terrorist is what I want to know. And I walk outside. And it's tall, too. It's tall. It's big. And it's got audacity. I mean, these motherfuckers, like, if they're on your side, you want to roll with them because they don't give a shit. Okay? They're not scared. You walk out there, and I'm expecting you to make a little bit of noise. The thing's just going to, waddle its way off into wherever the hell it came from. And I go out there and make noise. It turns it looks at me and says, who the fuck? Like, it bucks up at me and it starts coming at me. And I'm like, this is my house. This is my property. It's my car. And I didn't get close enough to it. I was able to, I don't know what it did, just the grace of God. It steered in the other direction and it hopped over the fence and it started terrorizing the neighbor's backyard. Thank God. I did see later when I went to go get in my car that it had used the bathroom on my hood. Like, you know, not number one either. And I went back, and I'm renting where I am now, so there's a ring cam on there, which, we can go to the whole thing about that. I went back and I scrolled back through the ring cam, and it did alert when the turkey walked up to my car, stood up on the hood, and I used the bathroom on it. And I can't tell completely because of the pixelation, but it looked like it was flicking off the camera at me while I was doing it. These things are terrorists. This is not the only example of this terrorist activity. Look at this. It's everywhere. This is who we need to be deporting, are the turkeys. Officers respond to call of a turkey blocking traffic and end up being chased by the turkey.
2211, you show me out on Milford and Ride Control with a loose turkey.
Come on. Look at it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you're right, man.
Oh, it's right there. Oh, damn. Why does he keep coming after me? He's puffing his feathers, man. I don't like it.
He's getting mad.
Look at him, bro. He's bucking up. Get out of here, Henry.
Make some good video.
Come on, Bo.
I don't like birds, bro. I don't mess with birds.
Whoa.
Go that way.
Go. Woo. Get out of here, Henry. Woo, woo, woo. Woo, woo.
I have to say, there's probably some immigrants, maybe some black people who are going, man, I wish the cops would just go ooh 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 when we were resisting arrest. I'm sorry, it's an inappropriate thing to say, but it's probably definitely people who are like saying that, jokingly, because if that turkey wasn't a turkey, he'd have a knee on his neck. Let's be honest. According to the protocol by the police, the police weren't following protocol. Woo, woo, woo. That's not how you handle somebody resisting arrest, which this turkey clearly was doing. And they shoo it off. It's not going to go home. It's not going to go home in peace. You're not the only thing it's got a problem with. It's going to go terrorize somebody else. It's going to go stand on someone's car and use the bathroom. It's going to chase a UPS driver, fearing for his life, flinging packages. It's going to take over its car, and all you're doing is woo-woo-wooing it? Give me Kristi, Noem, and Mark Wayne's Mullins on this. This is who needs to take care of the turkeys. We have a major turkey problem, and those two idiots are the only thing that can solve it. And that's where I'm going to end the show. So that's what we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for hanging out, guys, in the chats. I appreciate it. I'm always very pleasantly surprised by the amount of activity going on this late at night when I do shows. We will do it again tomorrow. And, smile. Have fun. Who cares? The world's crazy. Pet dogs. All right, so I'm going to go after this. I don't know why I feel the need to do like a wrap-up summary, but it did make me think of I'm getting out of my car earlier, and I pulled in. There's a family across the street from me, and I don't know them. Like, everybody was around me. It's cool. Nobody bothers anybody. I've seen them around, and I haven't really interacted with them. But it's a couple with two kids, and I think they have two kids. And so the husband or whatever, he's not. So I think he maybe works out of town or something. But I would always see her kind of walking the kids around the neighborhood and stuff. And she was like exercising in her driveway while her kids were playing out there. And it's fine. They're cool. They're fine. But like I pull into the driveway, I get out of my car, and I grab the packages I got. I went to the grocery store, so I spent like $3,000 to get eggs and orange juice, and another couple thousand on gas. And so I start to walk in, and like, so as I like open the back door, I hear Daddy, and I was like, that kid's not yelling at me, right? It's kind of like an unconscious thing. But then I shut the door and I start to walk forward, and I hear Daddy, And I'm like, oh my God, because you can feel it. You can feel that there's a toddler shouting from across the street that you've never met in your life or been. I've only ever seen this child. This child hasn't been alive very long. Like was born like right when I moved into this area. Shouting, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy," and you can hear the pitter patter of the footsteps. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a child. I'm gonna turn around and there's gonna be like a 1.5-year-old who just learned to walk, running at me, shouting, "Daddy, Daddy," because her mom was exercising, didn't catch her in time. Everything was fine. But I turned around and yes, there was a toddler running at me, shouting, "Daddy, Daddy," and I said, "Come here, honey. It's nice to finally meet you. Your mother would never tell anyone. You lied to our kid, baby." No, actually, I turned and I just got the hell in the house, and the mom swept the kid out of the street. But I'm just like, why is this kid suddenly looking at me? Who they've seen me a number of times, and they're chasing me across the street and calling me daddy. It was perplexing. Like, what if her husband was there? Seriously, like if her husband saw that too. I'm thinking about myself in that position. I'm there with my wife and kids, and my little toddler sees this guy across the street. I work out of town a lot. My wife is here by herself, and I see this kid get out of the car, or I see this guy get out of the car, and my toddler bolts across the street. Just learned to walk. The first thing it does is bolt across the street and shout, "Daddy, Daddy," at this guy across the street. I think what I would do is be like, "What the hell have you been doing while I've been gone?" I would demand a paternity test, honestly. He wasn't there, fortunately, and none of this is, like, I'd never talked to them, but I'm just like, thank goodness there wasn't some weird conflict because of this gaslighting child, okay? Children are gaslighters. Propagandafight.com. Oh, shit. So I do have to do one more thing. I can't believe I didn't do this sooner. If you guys are still listening, and I will cut this and also include it. If you guys like dogs and you like to rescue dogs, maybe you're looking for a dog. It's time for a quick segment. I can't believe I forgot to do this. We're trying to find a really sweet dog at home. And this dog's name is Pinwheel. This is the Paw Paganda report. I didn't make this. I didn't come up with this. Jennifer did a fantastic job of this. Play on words and play on my logo for the show. And we're trying to find a home for this sweet girl right here. I mean, she's just the sweetest girl. Pinwheel is her name. She's about 1.5 years old. And she just loves to play. Like she's such a play dog. So she doesn't realize how big she is, but she loves Edmund. She wraps her arms around Edmund. So it's the sweetest thing. And Fig, our other dog, she like learns how to play with him. She taps him on the back, and she's so good with other dogs. She's so sweet. She doesn't have a threatening bone in her body. She has a lot of energy, and we've trained her a little bit. She needs a little more training, but she's a great dog. And here's another great picture of her. She's just such a sweet girl. And here's her with Edmund. And she came over here to stay with me a few weeks ago, and she just loves him to death. I mean, she just loves him. It's so sweet. And where's the details of her? So you guys I've done this before. For some of you, there's a dog that we rescued, and they ended up finding a home for it right before Jack, a listener, was interested. But so if you guys are interested and you're in the Atlanta area, this will be a very great family dog for somebody. Here are some of her statistics. Hold on. Sorry. Pinwheel, 1.5 years old. She's spayed, crate trained. Definitely good with other dogs. Very gentle. She buries her toys. It's crazy. She buries her toys all over the yard, and she knows exactly where they are. Like she just pulls them out of nowhere. What's up, JC? And Fulton County Animal Services. her name with them because they were gonna kill her. They were gonna put her to sleep a few months ago. I've had her for a couple months, and because she was so energetic, and it. I love dogs. I know a lot of people love dogs. Not everybody does, but we're not all Kristi Noems here, But she was at the top of the list to be put down because she was just she had so much energy. She wasn't. They were trying. They were like prioritizing. They were keeping the dogs that were more docile, and she was. I mean, she's just a puppy, and she just need to be trained a little bit. And she's gotten much better with her training, but she's just like pure love is all she is. And so the website is, I'll put the website in the chats. If you guys are interested, you can contact me and contact them. And I will show you a video if I can figure out how to play it. Honestly, if I could just take care of dogs all day and play with. That would be like a happy life. The challenging thing about that is that they don't live as long as us, and so there's a lot of I can't imagine being a vet. How many times vets have to be? Well, it's how many animals they put down. Those guys are kind of psycho too themselves with that and the way they try to. Some of them are helpful, but then they're also like, oh, your dog has a sore tummy, that's $15,000 for us to look at your dog. Okay. All right, here it is. I'm going to try and share this video. I don't know if it will work though. Okay, I don't have the video. The video will not play unless it will work. She's a very sweet dog. Okay, maybe this will work. StreamYard has so many good qualities, but it's also a little wonky sometimes. It's her. And one more. They want you to show her personality so people. If I had time, Edmund's trained now, so he's listening to me. I pretty much take him everywhere I go. I would keep her in a heartbeat if I could, honestly, but it's for me it's too much. Stream Tard's exactly right, dude. That's exactly right. We should just start calling it that so they'll get better at what they do. One more, and then we're going to go. Thanks for sticking around to check this out. Is that the same one? No, it's a stick. She got a big stick there.
Oh, good girl. That's a good girl, Mama. Good girl.
Yeah. So anybody in the area, I know there's some listeners that are local to where I am. You can contact me. And, be a good dog. Be a good dog, good family dog. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. PropagandaFight.com, Patreon.com/Propaganda Report, at Freedom Act Radio on X. No feet pics in bio. Links in bio, though, for where you can support the show. You can leave a 5-star review and a comment that warms my heart. That helps the show show up in the search results. And if you're listening on audio and you're not subscribing to Patreon, let the ads play through. We don't get anything. You don't play the ads. That's a way to support the show, is to just let the ads play through. When we were on WSB, it was 3-hour show. That was the time slot. It was literally 90 minutes of dick commercials, of erectile dysfunction commercials, and 90 minutes of show. So you get at the most 6 minutes of ads here, and you get more content than you get on WSB or any radio in 2 months in one show here. So let them play through. It helps. If you want to get access to the subscriber-only show I do with Sam Tripoli and Austin McCard called Whatever This Is. It's a fantastic show. You can go to patreon.com/propaganda report, subscribe there, or propreport.locals.com, subscribe there, and just do the lowest tier of either one of those, because that's the offer there, and you will get access to that show, and you will get the audio version of the show ad-free. I take the ads out for subscribers, and you make a one-time donation if you just want to do a one-time donation at paypal.me/Brad Binkley. And I believe that's all the ways to help the shows. Going to have a product store up soon. So, yeah, we'll be selling. I'm going to try to sell useful products. I'm not just going to try to sell hacky stuff like everybody else does. But look out for that. Thanks a lot, guys. You guys are great. Smash that like, leave a tip in the super chats. We'll talk to y'all next time. Have a fantastic rest of your day.